Hi there, it's Melanie Folks Mayers from Eden Mayers HR Consulting. HR Consulting to keep you out of trouble and delivering your passion. So today's Thursday, which means it's blog day or vlog day, as I like to say. Happy Thursday. I'm in rainy London today, so I'm trying to bring forward the sunshine and hope that it improves in the next couple of days. I've got lots to do this weekend. Anyway, this is week 2 of our schedule on leadership, and today I want to talk to you about some of the key skills I think you need as a leader. To start off with, I really think that coaching, mentoring, and influencing are really key things that you need to have. And just to be clear, there is a difference. I know a lot of people, when I talk about coaching and mentoring, are like, is there really a difference? It kind of sounds like the same thing. Let me talk you through the differences. So, when you're coaching is generally speaking sort of task orientated. So teaching someone how to do something in particular, or teaching them a particular skill if it's a soft skill. So typically it's based around a task. It has kind of an objective around being able to get that task down, and once you've done that piece of work, that bit of coaching, then you're done, and that's the end of the relationship. So it's almost, the same as, say, for example, seeing a business coach. I might see my coach about some specific things that I want to do within the business, and we work on those particular things in the business, and where we might have kind of an underlying ongoing relationship based on certain things. Normally, if there's a particular thing that I need doing, then I might up the ante on what we're doing, and we'll work on that piece, that bespoke piece. We'll get that done, and then maybe in a month or two I might be like, I need some help again, can you come and give me a hand? So it's kind of a coaching relationship. Whereas mentoring is typically more future looking. So mentoring is, I want to be surgeon, and me having a mentor who is a surgeon, who's going to take me through as I study, as I start at my clinical side of work. It can kind of continuously working with me as I develop, and can influence me by introducing me to the right people, who can influence me by teaching me the mistakes that they made, so I don't make those mistakes. And generally speaking, when you have someone who's a mentor, they tend not to have line management responsibility with you. So if you're within an organisation, you have a mentor, it won't be your boss. It will be, probably a couple of lines removed, someone who's not responsible for you day to day, which means that, if you say to them, actually the job I want isn't, I don't want to go up and do my boss's job, the job that I want is that one over there, they can help you to get to the other place that you need to get to. So generally speaking, it's a longer term relationship, which means it can be a bit less formal, and it's really based on helping someone to get to where they need to be, not necessarily helping them to be able to do something that relates to the role that they're currently carrying out. So the two big differences between coaching and mentoring. And then influencing as a skill is the ability to affect the character or development or behaviour of an individual. So I guess if you're coaching or mentoring, you'll be looking to do that influencing piece. But I just wanted to kind of split those out to you to give you more clarity as I continue to speak. Now, I believe that the thing that links these three things together, or the things that link these three things together, is listening, really proper active listening, and empathy. So in order for you to be able to coach or mentor someone or influence someone, number one, you have to listen to them. You have to listen to them and understand where they're coming from, and understand what their levers are. So what are the things that make their eyes shine, and what are the things that completely turn them off? Because if you don't understand those things, it's very difficult to influence a person. It's very difficult to teach them something. So for example, if I'm working with somebody, the chances are I'm going to do a little bit of understanding of their learning style and the way they like to do things, and then that will help me to communicate with them in the right way. So with certain clients, for me personally, it's about sometimes the reason why they need my help is about risk. They're very risk averse and they need someone to help them mitigate the risk. And that's fine. I can talk to them about, if you do this, it reduces your risk by this amount, and this is the kind of thing, and it will save you money, etc., etc. On the other hand, there are other clients where actually it's much more about building their brand, how to be more outward facing. So then when I'm talking to them about the services that I provide, then I'm going to talk to them about that. I'm going to talk to them about how the work that I do with them will help to build their brand, how it will help to, how they can use that to help them in the marketplace, how they can utilize those things in their marketing materials. So it does depend on where they're coming from, even though the work that I'm delivering is vastly the same. The positives, the pluses for them, the selling points for them will be different. And so you have to be able to, in order for you to do that, in order to be able to kind of niche and tailor your response to who you're talking to, you need to really listen. One of the things I say quite often is you need to be in the moment. And I mean that in everything. So, not just at work, but at home with your children or with your friends, whatever you're doing, is around being in that moment. Because sometimes you pick up a little nuance. Someone might say something, but the way their face changes when they speak to you makes you realise that maybe they are saying something's not important, but actually it really is important to them. But you need to be in the moment. You can't be looking at your laptop or looking down at your phone while someone's talking to you going, ha ha ha, because you won't pick those up. Those little nuances won't be picked up. So it's very important for you to really pay attention, for you to really listen and hear what that person's saying. And then obviously the other part of it, I talked to you about empathy. Now, empathy isn't saying, yes, I've been there, I know where you are. It's about being authentic in your response. So often someone might say something to me and I might not have been in that situation, but I can imagine that it would be terrible. And I might say, I've never been in that situation. But I can imagine how stressful that might have been for you. And I can see that it's obviously, affected you in a big way. And I can have that kind of conversation. I can say, so how are you feeling about things now? And what was the outcome? And how did that affect things? And I can have that kind of conversation by showing that empathy. Being empathetic doesn't mean saying, yes, I've been there and this is what I would do in your situation, or this is what you need to do to not end up in that situation again. It's about understanding the sensitivities and be able to, again, add that to your response. So I think that, you really need to work at building your skills in that listening, that being in the moment and listening, and being empathetic about the way that you respond to people. And when you do that, when you speak to someone, they realise that you are really listening, you are really understanding what they're saying, that really makes a great difference to that relationship, that rapport that you build up with that individual. So to that end, I have 8 questions that you can ask someone as part of that kind of mentoring, coaching type conversation. It would work less well. Some of them would work less well if you were talking to a client, but some of them are really great to use with a client, actually. And I think the first set definitely are. So the core questions to ask, and I'm looking over here because that's where my laptop is, what could the best outcome be? So it's really important to find out what that ideal outcome would be. The next one would be, what part of what you just said to me could be an assumption? So people often, when they make statements, colour it with their assumptions of what they think about a situation. So it's important to kind of clarify the difference between what is a fact and what are you inferring from maybe your previous experience or something that you're worried or concerned about. The next one would be, if I were in your shoes and asked that question, what would you say? That's often a really good question when you're coaching or mentoring someone, because often people know what they would tell someone else to do, but it's not naturally what they would do themselves. And sometimes you just have to get them to step away. That ability to step away from the situation can make a really big difference. Next one would be, what are the positive outcomes of this negative situation? So, for example, I might moan and say my 4-year-old's sick, which means that and she's not sick, she's not here. I could say my 4-year-old's sick, which means that I can't go and see a client today. But actually the positive of it could be, I've got tons of paperwork that I can get done while she's lying on the sofa. and I get to spend some one-on-one time with my oldest, dearest. So it might be that. Number 5. What would you try now if you knew you could not fail? So that works really well with people who are quite risk averse. Just to think about, just to completely think out of the box and think, what would I do if you know, if time and money were no issue? What would I do? What could I do? And then you could almost work backwards. Okay, fine. So these are the things that I can do. And then probably the last 3 are probably a bit more. What's the word I'm thinking of? Used well to apply a bit of pressure. And they would be, when will you start? What are you waiting for? And the classic that I love is, and. I used to have a manager who often used to say, so what? And you said something, so what? You kind of had to keep thinking and thinking and thinking. You're like, oh, okay, actually I can do this. This is entirely possible. So those are the 8 questions that you can ask as part of your coaching or mentoring with an individual. And as I said, they're probably also, the first 5 or so will probably come in really useful even when you're working with clients. So this week, when someone in your team comes to you with an issue, try asking questions instead of just giving an answer, where appropriate, obviously, not if they really don't know the answer and you can put it out of your back pocket, and see what happens. And let us know in the comments below. I will also put the link to the blog on this subject in the comments below, so you can see those 8 questions again, so you can see what they're like. I will be back soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.